There's already major buzz around the league about a possible blockbuster trade, and it's not coming from some random rumor site either. The Ringer straight up said that no current NBA star is more likely to be traded this season than Lauri Markkanen. Even ESPN's Zach Lowe added fuel to the fire, saying after speaking to league insiders that he simply can't imagine Markkanen still wearing a Utah Jazz jersey next year. That raises some big questions. Why would the Jazz trade their best player, and who's waiting in the shadows ready to make a move for him? The crazy thing is that Lauri just reminded the world how talented he is. During Eurobasket, he scored more total points than anyone not named Luka Doncic, even more than Jokic, Giannis, or any of the other European stars. It was a perfect reminder of what kind of offensive force he can be when given the spotlight. But of course, the Jazz have been in a strange situation for a while now. Last season, they were even fined $100,000 for resting players without reason, though everyone knew the real reason: they were tanking. Since the front office traded away Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert in the same offseason, the Jazz have clearly been rebuilding. But despite how bad they've been, their draft luck has been awful. In 2023, they hoped to land Victor Wembanyama but fell to 9th. In 2024, they dropped again, ending up 10th. Last season, they went full rebuild mode, shutting down Markkanen early to secure better odds, but even then, they slid from the projected top pick Cooper Flagg all the way to 5th and got Ace Bailey instead. You'd think after all that, they might finally stop tanking. Nope. This summer, Utah moved on from nearly all of Markkanen's veteran teammates, sending out Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, and Colin Sexton for younger players and more draft capital. The message was loud and clear: they're not trying to win anytime soon. And here's where things get tricky. Despite all the losing, Markkanen actually enjoys being in Utah. He's an outdoorsy guy, and the state fits his lifestyle perfectly. There's even a post on Reddit from a guy who said he randomly played disc golf with Markkanen without realizing he was an NBA All-Star. That's the kind of person Lauri is: laid back, quiet, humble. Right before signing his current contract, he told ESPN that the Jazz had believed in him from ownership down to the coaching staff and that he trusted them to help him grow both as a player and as a person. That level of trust means something to him, especially after what happened in Chicago. The Bulls once called him their future star, but as soon as things went sideways, they buried him on the bench and then traded him. He had a short stint in Cleveland where he showed flashes, but it wasn't until he got to Utah that he truly exploded. He became an All-Star and won the Most Improved Player award in his first year there. What's wild is that he wasn't even supposed to be the main piece in that trade. Remember, the Cavaliers sent Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, and 5 future picks to Utah for Donovan Mitchell. Markkanen was practically an afterthought, yet he turned out to be the best thing Utah got out of that deal. So nobody in Utah really wants to trade him. But the situation might leave them with no choice. He doesn't fit the Jazz's rebuilding timeline, and he's too good for a team trying to lose games. Meanwhile, for any contender, he's the ideal addition: a 7-footer who can guard decently, stretch the floor, hit threes at an elite rate, and finish inside. Basically, he's built for today's NBA. The question isn't who wants him, it's who can actually afford him. And that's where things get complicated. His contract is massive. $46.4 million this season, rising to $53.5 million by 2029. Not many teams have the financial space to absorb that kind of deal, especially under the new CBA rules with the second apron and luxury tax restrictions. Even teams that could make it work financially would still need enough assets to convince Utah to trade their best player. That narrows the list to only a few serious candidates. Plus, when a player earns that much money, he needs to be your first or second option. Good teams don't want to pay a near-max salary to a number 3 option. Markkanen is talented, no doubt, but is he good enough to justify that kind of role on a championship roster? Players making similar money include Kawhi Leonard, Zach LaVine, Jamal Murray, Trae Young, and Donovan Mitchell, all number 1 or number 2 guys who have carried their teams deep into the playoffs. Markkanen hasn't even played in a single postseason game yet. Can he rise to that level? That's the million-dollar question. Let's talk about the teams that could realistically make a move. The first one mentioned by The Ringer is the Detroit Pistons. They're still looking for a legit co-star next to Cade Cunningham. None of their young prospects, not Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, or Ausar Thompson, has fully stepped into that role yet. Markkanen could be the perfect fit with Cade's pick-and-roll game and his need for spacing. Plus, Pistons coach J.B. Bickerstaff already worked with Lauri in Cleveland and got solid production from him there. Detroit just made the playoffs for the first time in years, and they might be ready to push further. They have the money too, since most of their young players haven't gotten big extensions yet. The proposed trade idea goes like this. The Jazz get Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, Bobby Klintman, and 2 first-round picks, while the Pistons get Lauri Markkanen. That gives Utah young talent, cap flexibility, and more draft picks for their rebuild. It makes sense for both sides, especially since Ivey's age and timeline match Utah's future. Another team that makes a lot of sense is Minnesota. Imagine Anthony Edwards running pick and rolls with Markkanen spacing the floor. That would be deadly. Edwards took a major leap last season, but when defenses started sending double teams, he struggled at times. Having someone like Markkanen, who can score off movement, shoot from deep, and attack closeouts, would open everything up. From a salary perspective, the Timberwolves can make something happen. Edwards is their only current max contract, and Rudy Gobert recently took a pay cut, lowering his annual salary to